It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Twice Brewed Beer Brewing Company. They're based in Northumberland in the UK, and this is their Season of the Witch, a Superdelic IPA, coming in at 6.5% ABV in a 440 milliliter can. There's a look at it: barley, wheat, oats, water, hops and yeast. I really like the can design. It's definitely a witch. It's definitely a happy witch. It's funny that they've used this. Whether they know, whether Twice Brewed know the story of the witch, whether you know the story of the witch, I'll tell you in a moment. It's a lot to do with beer. But first and foremost, let's get this beer out into a glass and see what we get. So, 2-finger white head, good levels of carbonation in the glass. It's a hazy amber. I'm going to call this one an amber coloured beer. They've not called it a New England IPA. I've just reviewed their Nectaron, their Nectarina beer, the Nectaron hop beer, which is fantastic. That was definitely a New England IPA. They're not calling this a New England IPA, they call it an IPA. So this, for me, if I'm to take a wild stab at it, it looks New World. It's nice and hazy, but it has that kind of slightly kind of American, darker amber, almost West Coast IPA look to this one, which excites me because I love West Coast IPA. This beer is available from Nearest Beer Shop. It's www.nearestbeershop.com. Check them out, because if you want to order this beer from these guys, you get a 5% discount when you use the voucher code. It's all lowercase, Stone the Crows. And it's also free delivery over £60. There you go. So go and order your beer then. Aroma, but there's no sediment in the bottom of the, well, actually there's little bits of sediment in the bottom of the glass. How lazy of me for not looking properly. But the aroma, see, now it definitely doesn't have the aroma of a West Coast IPA. This is very tropical. This is very kind of like tin pineapple. A little bit estery from the yeast. Tin pineapple, sweet. Okay, the aroma is good. The aroma is good. A little bit of orange peel, a little bit of plum. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Oh. Oh. That's an interesting one. Now, the first thing I got from the beer, it wasn't a flavour, it was a feeling. It was a feeling of carbonation. Took a mouthful of the beer and the carbonation was just sparkling along like almost like a sparkling perry or a sparkling glass of champagne almost in my mouth. Really kind of rush of carbonation pushing that beer around the inside of the mouth. And then I was left with this lovely kind of like full on, the most tin pineapple I've ever had from a beer. This is almost like opening a tin pineapples. You know the pineapple rings with the syrupy juice. It's like just drinking that down raw from the tin. There's a lot of that in beer. I would say 2023, definitely 2024. A lot of this kind of like tin pineapple flavour. And it's delicious. It really is. It really is delicious. It's a lovely kind of wonderfully kind of well-rounded, easy drinking beer. But and this is where, but I'm just a little bit fed up. Is it okay to be honest? It is, isn't it? I've had so many of these beers over the last 2 years that you can get a little bit fed up of it. I'm a little bit like tin pineapple burnt out. There's a lot of beers, especially IPA, New England IPA, that have this kind of like pineapple, like it's almost kind of like overwhelming, like pineapple, like explosion of flavour. Let's see if we can. Of course, being fair to the beer, there must be other flavours in there. Maybe a tad of berry, maybe a tad of strawberry in there, maybe a little bit of orange in there, but it's a massive punch of pineapple. If you love pineapple in your beer, pineapple hoppy flavour from, you know, not actual pineapple. This is hops. If you love that kind of hoppy pineapple flavour, then this is for you. Without a shadow of a doubt, this beer is for you. But I'm just a bit, even though this is really well crafted, it's really well brewed, it's on top of its game, it's high class beer, I'm just a bit burnt out with it. I'm just a bit burnt out with the it's like 8 out of 10 New England IPAs that I've tried in the last 2 years have got this like tin pineapple flavour in it. And I'm just a little bit bored of it. That's just my feeling. That's just my feeling. Of course, I'm standing here, brewed a pineapple Weizenbock with Hackney Church Brewing Company just a few months ago. So who am I to complain about pineapple? It's a great beer. It's a great beer. It really is tasty. Taking nothing away from the brewery. This almost seems like the most confusing beer review in the world, doesn't it? It's a beer review of, yes, all the flavours are there. It's a fantastic beer. But at the same time, it's a beer review where I'm offering my feelings, my like, if I go to a bottle shop or a can shop, am I going to buy these, like, I think I'd be asking the guy behind the bar or the lady behind the bar, is this one tin pineapple? And if they, yeah, it's tin, I'd be putting it back on the shelf because I've just had so many of them. I'd be looking to pick up a New England IPA or an IPA. I started the review talking about West Coast IPA. I love West Coast IPA. I love that kind of rip-roaring bitterness. And I wish breweries would just brew it a little bit more. Again, after saying all of that, after getting all of that off my chest, it's still a 9 out of 10. It's still a 9 out of 10 because the beer is terrific. It's been brewed really well. It's just I'm a little bit bored of the whole thing. A hazy IPA showcasing the Superdelic hop from New Zealand. An oat and wheat heavy malt base gives way to flavours of candied berries, tropical fruit and citrus zing. I didn't even get round to telling you the story of the witch. So the story of the witch, very, very quickly. The cauldron there is what the witch would have been brewing beer in, or the lady, let's call her a lady. She would have had a big spoon stirring her beer as well. The witch's hat was when she was walking around the markets, she was advertising herself as somebody who made and sold beer. The broom, the witch's broom, that went across the door of her house. When the broom was across the door of her house, that was to say that there was beer for sale. You can knock on my door, you can buy some beer. And of course, the black cat was to keep the mice and rats away from the malt that was probably stored in the house. So every indication is that this, and then of course propaganda come in, big breweries, big industrial breweries started to be built up, and they didn't want women brewing beer in their kitchens anymore. So they started this whole kind of like campaign against witches, and the next thing you know, they'd all been rounded up and whatever. Anyway, so they just rounded up a load of old female brewers and got rid of them, really. They were called brewsters back in the day. But that's the very, very quick story of the witch. They were actually female brewers. Thanks for watching. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.